which is a huge win for me because I never remembered to do that. But we have Natalie Robison with us tonight, you guys, and I am so excited for so many reasons. So Natalie has been with Zaya since February of 2017, so right when it launched. So she's been able to see like the very first thing when we were like shipping out of like living rooms and garages to like the latest expansions and the international growth and all the stuff going on right now. So she has had like literally a like straight close up personal view of this entire thing unfolding, and her story is really cool, and I'm going to let her share it. But I actually had the chance to first meet Natalie when we were in Chicago at a mini summit in 2018. And Natalie, you'll have to remind me, but I feel like at that time, I don't know if you had just hit senior director or like executive maybe. I don't remember, but you can share with us. But Natalie spoke, and there's 30 people there. There was 30 people. We were in I don't know, Hilton or some hotel in downtown Chicago. And I remember thinking like, whoa, like this thing is just getting started. There's 30 people here, and like everything I heard, I was like excited about. And Natalie had gotten to share. So she had been in it for just over a year. And when Natalie spoke, it was really impactful for me because she didn't speak as much about like the close and the numbers and like the business side of it, which is usually like my jam. Like that's what I like to listen to. But for one of the first times, I got to actually hear how like this had impacted somebody on a personal level and how it was so much bigger than leggings. And that was the first time where it really hit me that, wow, like this is cool. And like, I can do really big things here financially and like from a business perspective, but this is going to be a lot more than that. And then Natalie was crying, and I had a baby like 2 months earlier. It was the first time, or 3 months. It was the first time I left my baby. So I was sobbing and everybody was crying. And I think we all got like a single rose because Aaron Bradley bought them from a street vendor that morning. But anyways, it was really the first time that I got to see that perspective. And I'm like forever indebted to Natalie for that, because it really allowed me to open up and see the bigger picture. And at that point, I had just hit senior rep that month. And so I was still very much like in the beginning of the business, like kind of playing the comparison game, feeling like I had to hurry and I had to rush. And that really quieted those voices for me when I got to hear her perspective and hear her story. So anyways, I asked Natalie if she would join us tonight, and she graciously said yes. I asked her to share just a little bit about her story, and then maybe like 1 or 2 or 3 tips that she would want to give all of us as just some key takeaways, like some key things that led to her success. And I'm going to stop talking because we usually just do this for a half hour. And if you guys have questions, I'm sure at the end we can go through them or put them in the comments, and I can kind of keep track of them, and we can ask Natalie at the end. Oh, and also Natalie lives in Utah and is presidential, which is the very top. Natalie's like everybody's like Zaya mom. Like if you went to like all of our uplines, it's Natalie, and then it's like Zaya. So it's a pretty cool deal that she's here and she's on this call. So I'm super excited to hear what Natalie has to say. And like I said, if you guys have questions or you want feedback on anything, put it in the comments and I'll keep an eye on it.
Leah, you're so sweet. I love you. Okay, so I miss you too. Like, you can make me gut laugh like no one else. I just remember last year at the gala for the Zaya Execs and Above, and I was just rolling at our table. We had like the best time.
We did. We sat together. Yeah.
Yes. So you guys are so blessed and so lucky to have her. She is a serious gift to me and my team and to Zaya. And I hope you guys can recognize that she has a true servant's heart, and this business has blessed her and changed her life in ways that I'm sure she would agree. Like, it's been mind blowing and it's just been crazy what's been happening over the last couple of years. So she is an amazing leader. I'm so grateful for her and for what she's doing with you guys. Like, this team is an incredible team of women and men. You guys will do more this year based off of some of the numbers she was telling me. You guys will do more this year than like a good majority of businesses probably just right around you that you would consider as a very, very good business. So I think that is such a cool testament to what you guys are doing. I think sometimes we downplay what direct sales is, and we like don't realize like we're a legit amazing business and opportunity. So Leah was so sweet. She said really nice things and I appreciate that. And I actually can't totally remember what I talked about at the Chicago Summit. I remember getting super emotional and talking about Zion, but I don't know exactly what I talked about, which actually is pretty normal. So anyways, I did start right when the company started in February of 2017. Jordan overheard some moms talking about Zaya at our oldest son's basketball game. And on the drive home, he was like, Natalie, you have to do this. And I was like, I don't think so. We had 4 kids and, I'd done a couple other direct sales businesses and I was just like, I just can't add anything else to my plate. I love workout clothes, but I don't know. And so a couple of days later, a favorite influencer of mine posted that she was going to be selling Zaya. And I was like, oh my gosh, if she's going to sell Zaya, I have to do this. So I actually signed up with somebody else. It was the sister of the girl that he overheard talking at our son's basketball game. And her name's Kylie Dart. And she is incredible. She's amazing. And then it's Julie Nelson and then Diane Nelson. And they are the sister-in-law and mother to Aaron Bradley. And so there's some amazing women that I've been blessed to have in my life. And then obviously this incredible team of women. Whenever I talk about you guys, I get emotional and I cry and I get goosebumps because it has been so life-changing to be a part of this. And I think the biggest thing that I want to speak to your guys' hearts tonight is hope, that anybody really truly can build this business. And it is so much bigger than even you probably maybe even realize. It's so much bigger than you as a person. And so my first year, I sponsored 7 people. My whole first year. I hope you heard that right. And that is correct. So I was no like rocket ship. I'm pretty sure the Bradleys were like, she's not our next, star or whatever. But I love this business and I was super passionate about sharing it. I made a goal from day one, and Jordan and I discussed this, that my goal needed to be 1 party a week. As a mom of 4 kids and just with our busy schedule and lives, I knew I could do that. And so that was my biggest goal, was just getting those parties booked. And so I kind of took the mentality with growing my team that it would happen if it happened. Now that's not a bad mentality, but it's definitely not one that's going to get your team to grow. So my first year, I was just really just having a blast. I was just having tons of fun. I was sharing the clothes like crazy. I was making probably around $500 a month, depending on the month. Some months was better. Some months it was a little worse. And I was pretty consistent between 1,000 in sales and 2,500 in sales, which is why I really wanted to talk about the 1 by 1,000 this month. And I actually have not done a live about that. And I need to get on that this month and just kind of finish that up. But
way on its own.
The 1 by 1,000, I look back at who I was when I first started and what I've been able to learn and accomplish and figure out. And if someone would have been like, if Kylie would have been like, Natalie, you're not sponsoring enough people and you're not selling enough, it would have taken the joy out of this business. It wouldn't have been fun anymore. And I think sometimes we need to remember that this is supposed to be a really fun, exciting thing. It's not meant to be a job. It's not meant to be something that stresses us out and makes us unhappy. This is supposed to be the answer. This is supposed to be the joy in our lives. And so after my first year, and I'm going to tell you, Miss Chrissy Tager, I watched her and I was like, what is she doing? Like, she's not that different than me, I don't think. Like, she's recruiting like crazy. She's doing awesome things. And I was like, man, I have got to figure out this whole recruiting thing. Like, I want to achieve, I want to do better. And I will always say that I am so grateful for Natalie Swenson and Chrissy Tager and all of the girls that I've been able to sponsor, because, those are such valuable relationships that you gain working with other people. And there's just something about working together in these businesses that you can't get any other way. Like the friendships and the relationships are just priceless. So just remember that you're not anybody's boss. You are their biggest encourager and their friend, and you are there to cheer them on every step of the way. I think sometimes it's hard as women to not get jealous or to, want to like be the one shining. But just remember, and this is something that Erin Bradley's actually talked about quite a bit, is, we all get our chance to shine. We all get our turn. And I just had to really remember that when my team was at 20 people, it was so exciting. And when it went to 100, I was like, holy crap. I was like, this is the most incredible thing ever. And now my team is thousands of women and men, and there's, millions of dollars that generate through my team every month. And I think back to that, Natalie, when I first started, and I'm going to talk about this a little bit. I had a lot of insecurities and a lot of things that I had to figure out about myself. And I'm so grateful that I was given that space to grow into who I was supposed to become and who I needed to be. And I was allowed to only sell $1,000 in 1 month, and maybe only recruit one person. So there's 3 things that I want to really kind of focus in on. So the first one's consistency. The second one was my non-negotiables. And the third one is mindset. So consistency is the first thing that I want to talk about. I was the epitome of consistency. So I was not a rocket ship, like I said, but I was very consistent. I was still doing, those 4 parties a month. I scheduled those parties. I made sure they were happening. And if I didn't have a party scheduled, I messaged people. I remember I called my sisters who lived out of state, and I was like, hey, I'm coming to visit and you're going to throw a party for me. And they were like, oh, okay. And I did it, with my mom and with friends. And I found ways to get people to be a hostess for me. And I was so on fire about, I have to have parties. Like, I was like, I will almost do whatever it takes to get a party. Do you want a free tank top? Do you want a $25 gift card? Like, what do you want? I am all in. When I joined Zaya, I said to Jordan, I am going to build this, and I am going to, get it as big as I possibly can. And so I burned my ships. There's this saying that when I think it was Cortez came to the Americas, he burned their boats. So they couldn't go back to Europe. This was now where they were going to be. And I want you to think of that when it comes to this business and this opportunity. Have you burned your boats? I don't want you to be thinking, oh, there's always these other, back things on the burner that I can turn to. Zaya was my answer. It was the community and the friendship and the women that I needed in my life. I didn't realize how lonely I was as a mom of 4 kids. And it really filled a spot in my heart that I needed. And so, I burned my boats and I was all in. So consistency, you have to be consistent. I have so many people that are like, I've been doing this for 6 months and I've only sponsored a couple people and this is how much I've sold. And I'm like, gosh, you have to give it more time, especially if you didn't have a network to pull from before. So I was a stay-at-home mom, and I, was not in front of 20 people 4 times a day as a fitness instructor. I hadn't really had a job where I could network with other people. And so I had to really work my warm market, which actually ended up being a cold market. So I had to really start working in different networks and getting creative about how I was going to find people to throw parties, try to close, and become reps. So I became really consistent about messaging and reaching out. Number 2 is the non-negotiables. So I can't tell you how many people that, they're like, well, I wanted to hit this, but I didn't because, my mom came into town or my dog got really sick. I want you to say to yourself, maybe 3 or 4 non-negotiables that you will do no matter what's going on in your life. Now, you might be looking at me and being like, well, she's had everything, you know, perfect since she joined. And I can tell you, I have not. We have had financial struggles. We have had struggles with our children. We've had sick children. We've had marriage struggles. I mean, we've had every single kind of issue or struggle or challenge almost that's imaginable. So you have to look beyond what the current day-to-day situation is. I think sometimes we get too wrapped up into what's right in front of our face, and you really have to work on getting past that. So what are your non-negotiables? I knew every day I was going to wear Zaya because I worked out every day. So every day wear Zaya. That was my first non-negotiable. Whether it was to work out or it was, you know, out and about running my errands, I was going to wear Zaya. I can't tell you how many reps don't wear Zaya. Wear the clothes. If you need to sell the Under Armour or Nike that you have on a buy sell trade group, or maybe you could donate them and then have that as a tax write-off on your taxes, wear Zaya. If you can't afford a ton of the pieces, wear the same pieces every day. You know, like, I want you to get holes in your Zaya. If you are being really, you know, fiscally smart and you're being frugal. When I first started, you guys, I was lucky if I got 1 or 2 pieces a month, because every single penny that I made went back into my business. I wanted to feed my baby. I was not in this to always have the newest items. I was in this to make money and have this as profitable as possible. Okay. I knew I could also post once a day, and at least go live in my VIP group once a week. So those are my non-negotiables. So post every day. So I figured, okay, I'm already wearing the clothes because I worked out. I'm just going to snap a quick pic of me in my workout clothes, talk about my workout, talk about my day or whatever. And then once a week on Wednesday, I went live for my VIP group. And then my other non-negotiable was 1 party a week. So I knew that if I was doing those activities, I was going to start at least being consistent and getting the ball rolling. Now, obviously, I've added more into that. So, you know, my non-negotiables now are 3 new reps and 2,500 PV, you know, or at least 1 new rep and 1,000 PV. So those are my non-negotiables as I started saying, okay, Natalie, you've got to step it up. You've got to be better. You've got to be who you're supposed to be, right? You need to get your act together. So then the third one is mindset. So there's a great book called Mindset, and it talks about the growth mindset versus the fixed mindset. So I'm not going to sit here and say that I've always had a growth mindset or that I'm 100% growth mindset all the time. But I will tell you that I have been growth minded in this business. So when I was really struggling, and when I have really struggled with specific things, I've always known you can learn it, Natalie. You can figure this out. You're smart. You can get after whatever you need to get after. You can find whatever books you need to read or learn, and you can figure this out. And so I got really growth minded. It's called Mindset. It's just that word. I can't remember who the author is. Sorry. I would have to look and then post it. But it's an excellent book. And it talks about how anyone can learn to do anything. So when I started to get really serious in my second year and like, no more just like, this is fun. I mean, I still kept it fun, but I was like, okay, I'm going to start recruiting and I'm going to really start hitting those benchmarks that Zaya is putting out there. So when I started telling myself, this is what you're going to do, Natalie, I realized I had some serious fears around recruiting. And I had to learn how to overcome them. And so I had to teach myself how to do that recruiting talk. So I started on like a massive personal development program. So part of mindset is knowing that you just don't, it's not that you don't know how to do it. It's just that you haven't learned how to do it. And you can learn how to do anything. You can figure anything out in this life. You can learn to do anything if you want to. So those are my 3 big like takeaways. Is really make sure that your mindset is here. It's in Zaya. It's growth minded. It's I can figure this out and I'm going to figure this out. Make sure you've got those non-negotiables that you're going to do every day, no matter what. And then just make sure you're always consistent. You know, if you take off for a month, you're going to lose a month of momentum because it builds and builds and builds. And then you're like, well, I think I'm done for a month. I didn't get the results I wanted. And so then you stop. Well, now you got to regain that momentum again. And it can be really hard to do that. So I'm just going to suggest you make sure your non-negotiables are doable every day and that they won't necessarily burn you out, because that's something that can happen. And so you just have to watch for that and make sure that you set realistic and goal, and that you set realistic goals, and that the goals are ones that you know that you can achieve. So that's what I'm sharing. Oh, I love you guys too.
I have so many good notes. Natalie, I have a question for you. So when you talked about like when you started to like read the book and you started to have a growth mindset, one thing that I think is like a really interesting learning curve, and especially in this business, I feel like for some reason, is that everybody's like, well, I'm not good at recruiting, or I'm not good at PV, or whatever their thing is, and it's probably just that they're not comfortable with it. I think sometimes that we're like, okay, like if we like read this or listen to this call, like it's just gonna like get better. And I think a lot of times, like at least for me, it took me a long time to get comfortable with those conversations. And like even though I was working on my personal development, there was probably still like, I mean, I think I did like it was like a 10-week like self program I did where I was like every day I'm doing a personal reach out about a business partner, and it took a while. Like it was still hard. And I guess I'd be interested like to hear from you. Do you still get nerves sometimes, or do you think that like if you continue to practice it, it gets easier? It's just not like an overnight thing. Like what was your experience with that? Does that make sense?
Yeah. So, you know, I still am a little reserved about Zaya, which is funny that you would hear that from me. But what I realized is that if I couldn't be confident as someone making $500 in Zaya, how would I be confident making $5,000 in Zaya? So I really had to work on my mind. So when I say that I'm still careful, I always want someone to be asking me about Zaya. If I'm talking too much, I stop. It's kind of like when you're messaging or you're on the phone or you're, you know, chatting with a friend. So for me with recruiting, the more I did it, the better it got. So I have failed and failed. I've said the wrong things. I've messaged the worst messages. I mean, I have done everything wrong because it had to teach me what was right and what worked for me. Because what works for me might not work for you. You know, I had to learn how to kind of seal the deal. And I feel like there's some really great books that talk about that. One is Get Over Your Damn Self, and the other one is Direct Sales for Dummies. They both talk about it. Get Over Your Damn Self is a little more, she's a little more blunt in her verbiage. Direct Sales for Dummies is not. But there are tons. I think someone just mentioned, oh yeah, doing them all wrong teaches you what is right. That's right. So just get out there and just say it, because you can't say the wrong thing to the right person. Someone will hear whatever it is that you say. And you know what? Maybe you'll say it right now and it doesn't speak to them, but in 6 months you'll say it again. And they're like, oh my gosh, like, I mean, who would have thought that people that were personal trainers couldn't do their jobs now? You know, like the gyms were closed. Nobody. So what you're saying now is going to speak to someone. So you just got to keep saying it, and you just got to keep speaking it, and you have to keep following up. And even when you think no one is listening, they are. Like, I can't even tell you guys, I've been doing this for 3.5 years. And I just had someone buy the leggings from me the beginning of March or April. She tried them for the first time, and I've known her pretty much my whole marriage with Jordan. And she's like, all right, I'm going to give these leggings a try. And I was like, yay, like finally, like, can you imagine if I would have quit? You know what I'm saying? Like, there's so much to these businesses to being consistent and being that Zaya girl for people. Like, oh, she's my Zaya girl, or she's my legging dealer, whatever, you know, like just mentally prepare to be that person. Just own it and just be like, I'm here. I'm here for the good and the bad, the good months, the bad months. I'm here for whatever life is going to throw at me, because, you know, not every month is going to be bad and not every month is going to be great. So just say to yourself, I'm going to show up. Excuse me. I'm going to show up. Whether this is awesome or not, I'm going to show up for that person who is all alone right now, feeling like nobody cares. And I'm going to show up for that person. And I'm going to hopefully speak some kind of life into them and give them love or give them something to respond to on social media or to build a connection with. So, sorry, I'm having issues. I love Zaya bras, but I still wear regular bras. So I'm going to admit that right now.
So I love you. I'm actually a little surprised at this point yet. There hasn't been like between one of us like a word slippage. I can't remember. We were on a call though and it got really bad, and I'll have to find the replay, but I think
it usually does.
I think you might have said a word wrong that was like, it just spiraled out of control. It was really serious, then it got really funny.
Yes, that happens often.
Someone said, what's the best cold reach out message you use?
The best cold reach out?
Yeah.
Oh, you know what? Honestly, just connect with them. That's the best message. And just keep it short and sweet. So my favorite one is, you know, if I notice that they're like super active, I'll just say like, hey, Mary, I love your Insta. I love how active you are. You have like hashtag body goals or whatever you want. Like, cause a lot of times they do compared to me. And I'm like, have you ever heard of Zaya? And that's all I ask. And then I wait for them to respond, and maybe you'll send that and they'll see it and you can see where it says seen. You can go back and message them in like a week or so and be like, hey, just wanted to check in and see if you know, saw my message. I know things are funny with social media sometimes, and just really work to build that relationship. I have met so many people through cold messaging, and even people that I didn't have very good relationships with that I have gotten to know again because of Zaya. And it is my favorite thing. Like there's some of my like closest friends now. They like are great customers, like where they buy like weekly or bi-monthly. Like just look at this as a way to connect. And if you'll connect, the sale will come. But if you try to get the sale and you don't try to connect, usually it won't happen. So I cold message everywhere because my warm market was cold. So I had to heat everybody up from scratch. So
Heat everybody up. Heat them up.
Heat them up.
Heat them up.
Got to warm them up.
Okay. So the other thing I was going to ask you about, and I'll look to see if there's any more, but we've been so blessed to have so many people come on this team and other teams and share like really big, huge success stories, which leads me to this. Would you expand a little bit on the 1 by 1,000, and in case people didn't see that at the beginning of the month, what you mean by that, and kind of what the purpose is behind it?
Yeah. So what I love about the 1 by 1,000 and why I think it's something that should be taught in conjunction with the 3 by 2,500. So the 3 by 2,500 is kind of being a Zaya rep on crack cocaine. Like if you're doing the 3 by 2,500, like you are legit. Like you are insanely amazing in my opinion, because that ain't easy. Like you guys, I still have to hustle for the 3 by 2,500. Like it's not easy. So the 1 by 1,000, why I wanted to teach that this month is because I see so many ladies that are achieving it. And it's almost like they kind of get down on themselves. And so I want you to change your thought process with this. If you sponsor one person a month and you do 1,000 in sales, in 10 months, you'll have a team of 10 and you'll have sold $10,000 personally. So you should be right on track to hit director. Now, you didn't do it lightning fast, but you still did it, which is amazing. And all of us want to hit director, and all of us, as we start ranking, need and want more directors. So it's it's almost like, you've got to nurture people where they're at. If someone's not able to do the 3 by 2,500, really encourage them to do that 1 by 1,000. One new rep, 1,000 PV, and just let them know, you know what, if you want to speed this up, awesome. I'm here to help you, and I'll encourage you, and I'll share tips and ideas. And you can aim for the 3 by 2,500, but if you're okay for it to take 10 months, you're going to still hit director. And I am going to be so pumped for you, and you're going to be so pumped, because that is a huge mile marker. So sorry, this is kind of a long-winded answer. So I get coached by Sam, and we have run numbers, and he's actually run numbers with Zaya. And when a rep hits senior rep, the chance that they're going to stick around and stay active, which we all want, that takes a lot of time and effort, and even money sometimes. If time's money, it takes money to sponsor. So when you sponsor someone, it's an investment, not only that you've spent, but they've spent, right? So if they'll hit senior rep, the chance that they're going to stay around, I think, goes up by like 70%. I mean, it's huge than if they don't. So, I am big on just loving on people and encouraging people. I've had 2 Canadians over this last year go from being reps to, one of them is on track to be executive, and the other one should hit director. We're aiming this month, but it might not happen until next month, which is okay. Like, her team's just not there quite yet mentally, and that's okay. Like, sometimes it takes a little bit. So, and it's interesting, and I'm just saying this because last year, probably around August or September, I was like, man, they're really consistent, but I just don't think they want to build teams. Like, I don't know, and I just kind of didn't know what to like do, and how to approach, like, what to do with them. I was kind of like lost, because they were consistent, but like some months were be really good, and then other months not so much. And so I'm so glad that I just sat back and gave them that space to come into their own. So
yes, 100%. And then when people do, you're like, that's exactly how it was meant to be. Like, that was their journey.
Yep.
Someone asked about tips for hosting parties for men. I'm also curious. Jordan
Okay.
Did Jordan?
No.
No, but I thought you did it for Jordan's friends or something.
Oh, okay. So I think the biggest thing is that we have to remember that men aren't any different than women. They really aren't. Okay, they are a little, but they're not, right? Like, they like to shop. Well, at least my husband loves to shop. Jordan can actually outshop me any day of the week. So he is a shopper, and he loves to buy clothes, like, loves it so much. So when you're approaching men, you've got to speak to what their minds go towards, which is, this is going to be convenient, and it's going to be fast, because I'm going to be able to help you and your friends find exactly what they want. It's going to help you to save money, because you're not going to be, buying something or, shipping or whatever. Like, I'm going to get you in the perfect size. And you just got to approach it like that. So having men host parties is totally doable. And so Jordan and I actually, so we work out together in the mornings at a gym. And this man talks about Zaya. You would think he was the Zaya rep. I don't know what I'm talking about. Usually it's inappropriate things, or I don't know, bodily functions. I don't know what I'm talking about. I'm just weird. So my husband he was like, Natalie, we should do a big party and have everybody over from the gym. All the guys will get, clothes. And I was like, okay, let's do it. So we had them all come over, and we had $1,000 party just from the people at the gym. So, if your husband's open to, inviting a couple guys over, or just saying, hey, I'll help you find some things that, it'll be really quick. Guys are actually really good shoppers, because they just buy whatever they want.
Yeah.
So
it's like kind of like guilt-free, I almost feel like. They're like, well, if it fits, I don't care how much they cost.
Yes, that is exactly right on, Leah. They don't care. So
like, wow, I wish I didn't overthink it's really good that I do overthink all my purchases because there'd be too many. Um, that's good. That's really good. Thank you. Do you have time for
yeah.
one or two more, Natalie?
Yeah. I don't
Okay.
even, oh yeah.
Somebody said, what any sort of training that you've done that's helped you, or direct sales training? You mentioned the book, Direct Sales for Dummies. I know you have a coach, and then was there any other training that you would recommend, or things that you've done maybe to help your business, like the Sam thing, or when that was appropriate, things like that?
Yeah. So I pretty much from day one, well, my first year, I wasn't very good about having a coach. And then after my first year, I was like, I really need to get like someone who could really coach me. So I found there was a lady that I followed on social media when I was like a director or senior director, and she was with Beachbody, and I was like, hey, will you coach me? And she was like, sure, but you have to use Beachbody. And I was like, sure, whatever. And so I signed up to like drink Beachbody so she could like coach me, and she was helpful. And so it's kind of been this involved thing. So I've just like, when it stopped working or it wasn't a good fit, I just kind of gone to the next person. And I was definitely looking for someone similar to Sam. He has a huge background with network marketing and direct sales. Like he's been doing it for like 20 years. And when the company offered him as a coach, I was like, if Zaya trusts him, I'm going to trust him. And so he's been really, really good for me just as far as like coaching me through things and just knowing like how to approach things. But I will tell you that reading leadership books, especially once you're a director and above, is actually probably one of the best personal development and coaching systems that you can do for yourself. Because when you're reading a book, or I listen to it as I'm walking, you know exactly what you need help with in your business. So a lot of the number stuff can take care of itself, but these businesses are really relationships. So if you can learn how to interact and how to do these businesses because it's relationships, it will help you tremendously. So the numbers, like I said, they take care of themselves. But if you can learn how to and I feel like I'm still figuring this out, but one of my favorite authors is John Maxwell. I feel like he has such a great grasp on what leadership should be and what it should look like. So any of his books are really good. I love his stuff, especially to start leading people. So just something to keep in mind. But there are tons of great programs out there. I know that Ray Higdon does. He has a really awesome one. I could not give to one of my reps like she needed. And so she signed up for his program. It did cost quite a bit of money, but I wasn't enough for her, and that was okay. And I was like, you know what? I'd rather you and I realize this and know that like, I can't give you what you need. I don't know what it is that I need to give you. And so it's been a good fit. So if you're looking for something, let Leah know, keep reaching out. You can ask me. I don't know of a ton of programs. I wish we had a little bit more of that with Zaya, with the personal development side of things. So I just recommend lots of books.
Totally.
That's been my.
I agree. And I think sometimes that can seem like a foreign thing. And we're like, oh yeah, like, and I'll admit for a long time, I was like, I need to read a book. I need to start doing this with books. I probably said it for like a year before I actually picked one up. And then I picked up a leadership book and I was like, I'm such a like idiot. Like, why haven't I been doing this for like the last 12 months? Like, it really is incredible when you take that time to invest in yourself, even if it's reading 20 minutes a night instead of like falling asleep to The Office like I used to do all the time. So it is a very, very powerful thing.
Yes. And yeah, well, sorry. And like you said, like, I just tell people 10 to 15 minutes a day. It doesn't have to be, an hour of personal development. Like,
yeah.
And yeah, The Office is good.
Well, and the other thing that happens too then is as a leader, like when I wasn't doing that, I was like, oh, I need to do a live video. What should it be about? Or what should I talk about? But when you're being fed those things and those ideas and that development and just those little tidbits, like one of them was live where your feet are. And I think that was something that Ellie had taught me. And I was like, oh my gosh. And now like I say that to so many people in my life. I have a very fast paced family. And I'm like, let's be present and live where our feet are. And so when you are digesting that stuff constantly, it's a lot easier to regurgitate and then have that to offer. But holy smokes, this is so good. I'm like so energized now. That's why I love these calls. I love you, Natalie. Thank you so much.
I love you. Thank you.
Any like last minute question that they want to unmute? We probably have like 1 minute for a last minute banger question. Oh, when are you coming?
So nice.
I'll ask it. When are you coming back on Wednesdays?
I don't know. I have asked Megan so many times, and it's like, no.
COVID test. Just take the test like every Tuesday. Be negative.
I could go show up, and then what are they going to do? Tell me to go away?
Probably.
They would.
We really miss your reviews.
I miss doing them. It's not quite the same waiting 10 days to get my Zaya.
That came up, Bounce Town. That's my favorite thing ever said. You guys probably don't know this, but Natalie, she lives near the warehouse, and she used to be able to do reviews. So she would go in and try the new stuff on. And it was just really helpful because it was like so many people could relate. Whenever she was trying the sports press on, she'd be like, "Oh, I'm going to Bounce Town in this one, like I can't." And they're such honest reviews. They're good. And we have a last minute appearance from Japan.
Yes, Ellie. Where is she?
I'm right here. 10:43 a.m. on Tuesday, where she is living.
I'm just here to talk about your boobs. I'm not here for training. That's all I'm here for.
Leah does have nice ones. It's true.
What?
Leah, I mean, I got to room with Leah. Leah, you're recording this. I'm so sorry that I'm adding the worst value at the end of your call. I just come in and just say inappropriate nonsense. But I got to live in a college dorm with Leah for a good chunk of my life, and
things have changed. 2 kids and 10 years later, but some things for the better, but mostly not at all.
Yeah, mostly better. Mostly things have gotten better in our lives.
Oh yes. Oh, how are you?